The notion here is we have to act now. There's no time for any delay. And so we can end up with 4 million fewer jobs this year, according to Moody's, a Wall Street firm, and it could take a year longer to return to full employment if we don't act and don't act now.
President Biden, they're continuing to push for his nearly $2 trillion COVID relief bill, even though Republicans, they've already said they're not going to get behind it. But Democrats are starting to say they're going to pass it with or without Republicans using a process called reconciliation. Now, for more, I want to be bringing my guest right now. He's a member of the House Appropriations Committee. He's also on the subcommittee that is looking into security failings during the attack on the Capitol and also how to strengthen that security moving forward. Congressman Ed Case, a Democrat from Hawaii. And Congressman, let me start there. And, you know, we've gotten used to a lot of things, but I want my audience to hear what the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, talked about regarding the threat still facing Washington and where it's coming from.
We will probably need a supplemental for more security for members when the enemy is within the House of Representatives, a threat that members are concerned about. We have members of Congress who want to bring guns on the floor and have threatened violence on other members of Congress.
Congressman, there was more reporting today, you may have seen it, the Times had, regarding your colleagues, Congressman Gosar, Biggs, Boebert. We all remember what Mo Brooks said the day of the riots, all but directing them to your workplace. Do you look at certain colleagues and wonder if they're with you or if they're part of the insurrection?
Of course I do. I think we are all sorting through some very difficult questions. As to our own colleagues, I have felt for a long time that I may disagree with colleagues, but we still have a common goal for our country, and we still have a common approach to governance. There are a distinct number of my colleagues who do not seem to be on the same page. They feel they are entitled to bring a gun onto the floor of the U.S. House. They feel that anything they say, even if highly incendiary, comparable to what President Trump did, that's okay, and it's not okay. And so I think we're all trying to sort through what are the boundaries of legitimate disagreement, even deep disagreement, and what is just completely off limits. So you shouldn't serve, for example, on committees. You should not be entitled to do whatever you want on the grounds of the United States House.
Well, and I'll be maybe a little bit more direct than you. When we're looking, ghosts are big. These guys did more than play footsies with the Proud Boys, groups that are on terror watch lists. You have legitimate, and I've talked to a lot of your colleagues, sober voices, by the way, not, flamethrowers. Mikey Sherrill, for example, a veteran and a moderate who said she saw her colleagues walking these people around against House rules, literally casing the Capitol before the riots. When are we the people, gonna get clarity as to which ones are just irresponsible and which ones did things that literally put you folks in peril? When does that become clear and put names to this?
When we complete our internal investigations of what happened on January 6th and after that, and we're not through those investigations, but I certainly believe and agree that those should include investigations of our own colleagues. You can have very heated debate, and we've had very heated debate, and we will, and we should. But when it goes over that line, as you pointed out, that's not acceptable. Those folks should not be in the U.S. Congress, and Congress has those remedies. And I think we gotta take a look at whether those remedies are appropriate.
Your colleague Adam Kinzinger, unfortunately, seems to be about the only Republican I can see as a sitting member, forget a former, but a sitting member of Congress, Republican, that's willing to go out and condemn what his party is doing right now repeatedly. Do you think, in the cloakroom when the cameras aren't on, do other Republicans turn to you and say, Ed, I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm afraid of a primary, but I didn't sign up for this.
The Republican Party is in the middle of an existential crisis. Which way are they going to go? There are many, many colleagues that I know on the Republican side of the aisle that are good, solid people. They want the best for their country, but they are being pulled in a completely destructive direction. And I sure hope, and I do believe, that inside that caucus they have very, very realistic conversations. The fact that Liz Cheney stood up and said so publicly, I think, was a mark of courage. even though I don't agree with her on many issues, but I agree with her that this needed to be called out. And I hope that that grows. But, the Republican Party has a day of reckoning right now. Are they going to keep on going down, the road of Trump and of QAnon and of Green, or are they going to try to be a party that articulates a political philosophy and provides a counterweight and an alternative to the Democratic Party?
And I think, and I've said this before, even if this benefits Democrats in the short term, this fissure in the GOP, we need two healthy, functioning political parties in this country. I think it's good for democracy. But Congressman, we started off with the president saying about the need for the stimulus package. It seemed, at least for the first few weeks here, the president's done everything he can to try to have some bipartisan agreement, but it seems that's changed in the last news cycle or two. Do you get the sense they've given up because there's not a hand reaching across the aisle? Are you going to go through reconciliation, or is there still a deal to be had?
Well, I think there's going to have to be a deal to be had, because at the end of the day, today, there just aren't the votes in the United States Congress for a $1.9 trillion package, and I'm talking about Democratic votes as well. And so you've had members of the U.S. Senate on the Democratic side that have said, that's too much, too fast. And when you go down the reconciliation path, what it amounts to at the end of the day, reconciliation basically says that in the United States Senate, you just need a majority, not a supermajority. You're essentially abandoning any bipartisanship. So yes, I am concerned that runs counter to a spirit of cooperation and consensus going forward. And I think also it's just the practical politics of it are going to end up in an endless negotiation, as we'd had with the HEROES Act, where we had 7 months of negotiations while people basically withered on the vine throughout our country.
You optimistic that some middle ground is going to be done and done sooner than later? I know I don't have to remind you, but time is not something we have a lot of.
Yes, I am optimistic. I think at least we're going to cut through this faster than necessary. I think it's going to be a little painful to cut through it all. And I think it's a difficult road, so don't get me wrong. But I think everybody does, for example, understand the absolute urgency on the public health side of COVID-19 for sure.
Well, I wish you the best of luck on that and so much more. Congressman Case, thank you for the time.
Thank you very much.
All right, folks, as we come back, Republicans say that the Trump impeachment trial is unconstitutional. Is it? A professor who literally wrote the book on impeachment, he'll join us. He says they're wrong, and he's got the founding fathers as a source. We'll get into that and more after this.